Paul Scully. Good morning to you, Paul.
Morning to you, Julia.
Thank you very
Are you
much.
okay?
Very well indeed. It's very sorry to hear that since we last spoke to you, you've decided to stand down as an MP, as an awful lot of MPs seem to be doing on the Conservative benches. Not very hopeful of how things are going to go whenever that election is. So sorry to hear that. But let's talk about this latest plan on Rwanda. We've got that bill. It's gone to the House of Lords. It's coming back to the House of Commons. They can play ping pong. There's a possibility. There is a possibility there could be a flight to Rwanda sometime in April. Believe it when we see it, how many people actually end up on it. But is the solution to the problems of getting people out to Rwanda really actually doing a deal, which apparently the UK struck with the Rwandan government earlier this year, but has kept quiet, for this controversial deportation scheme that, you know, to be added to by actually literally paying people with other people's taxpayers' hard-earned money to move to Rwanda, £3,000. I mean, is that really going to fly with your voters?
Well, look, first of all, thanks very much for your kind words. It's always been good to work with you. I hope we can in the future, whatever I do. But look, in terms of this, first of all, we've got to get that Rwanda bill through. It's always going to be a tricky task because people have wanted to strengthen it, in inverted commas. People have wanted to weaken it. The House of Lords is always going to be a big risk of blockage. And so we've still more to do to be able to get flights off the ground, as you say. In terms of the £3,000, from what I've just seen, the newspaper reports, I haven't seen detail of it. I can understand the fact that when you have asylum seekers that are going to fail their applications, often they've destroyed their paperwork. So there's no compunction for their country, therefore, of origin to have them back. So it's how you get them back. And so perhaps if this is the case, then they're looking at how you we've got to stop people coming in, but once you've got people here, how you actually stop spending money on supporting them here and better support them somewhere else.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking very quite unpleasant detention camps. Here's the choice. You can go home. We'll put you on. We'll pay for the flight. Fair enough. But we, even currently right now, we will give people £3,000 to go back to their home country voluntarily, which I still find extraordinary. But we're going to pay them to go to Rwanda. I have to say, I was mentioning earlier, I've always had Rwanda on my holiday list because I want to go and see, I want to go on the gorilla trails in the jungle. Could I have £3,000, please, towards my holiday? I mean, this is genuinely absurd. People were, I mean, I know £3,000 per person over the 65, 70 million people in this country, taxpayers, OK, it'd probably be a few pennies each. But you know what? People have to go out and work for those few pennies they pay in tax. They don't get given, free journey anywhere. These people have paid money to get here illegally. They've been proven not to have a right to be here. They shouldn't get a single penny. I mean, literally a single penny from taxpayers.
Yeah, look, it's a difficult situation. As I say, I haven't seen the detail. All I've seen is the newspaper reports and
it's got a lot of detail in it.
And in those reports, they're talking about they're exploring it. So I don't know where they are in terms of proposing it as
it says they've done a new deal. They've actually done that. They struck the new deal earlier this year, and they want to. They think they're going to be able to remove tens of thousands of migrants who've got no right to stay in the UK but cannot be returned to their home country. What's extraordinary is I bet there'll be a lot of people who will take that £3,000 to go to Rwanda, start the journey again. Who are we kidding? And they're going to take that money, and they'll be happy to go there, and yet we'll be told by the human rights lawyers, oh no, you can't possibly send people to Rwanda against their will because it's not a safe country.
It's not an easy journey to start from Rwanda to come back to the UK. So you can take a lot more than £3,000, frankly, as well as a lot of toil to get through there. It's not an easy journey, but nonetheless, I think we do need to see the detail. You're right to boil it down to what ordinary taxpayers can expect in their own lives compared to that. That's the comparison that we've got to do. On the other hand, we've got to work out actually, in reality, how do we solve the problem of people that we can't necessarily return, as easy as it sounds, to return people to their original
genuinely,
countries.
I'm at the point where, once we know for sure you have got no right to be here, you don't want to return, fine, then you know what? Prison camps, I'm sorry, really quite harsh regimes. And I know the Human Rights Brigade will all be up in arms, but at any point, you can leave. At any point, you can leave, but you ain't staying in Britain.
All I'd say, Julia, is that we've had Priti Patel and Suella Braverman as our previous two Home Secretaries, who are pretty firm. They're known to be pretty firm in their views on this. If it's that sort of easy, I don't think it's going to be
We can't, no,
necessarily
we can't do it
deliverable.
because of human rights legislation. The key thing is we're going to have to redo all of that, and you know that Rishi Sunak doesn't have the will on that, does he? Can I ask you about another subject, though? This Tory donor, Frank Hester,
Yeah.
who made blatantly, outrageously, obviously racist remarks. As soon as I saw them, I tweeted out, these are disgusting and racist remarks, full stop, end of. It we had a government round of a minister yesterday. We had a government spokesman for hours and hours and hours insisted these comments were wrong. He should apologise. He has apologised, but that, declining to use the word racist. Kemi Badenoch, then, senior member of the government who is black, said, but these are racist comments. But there's, but he's apologised, so we kind of move on. At that point, finally, at 6 o'clock last night, we had the Prime Minister's office finally using the racist word about these comments. No doubt also ahead of PMQs happening in an hour and a half's time when we know he's going to be asked about it. Should the Tory party return that £10 million donation that he made last year, given these weren't one-off remarks. There were numerous remarks he's made. We've already got comments he made about Indians and telling about Indian staff, oh, you can't fit on the balcony. It's over a railway line. You could just cling onto the top of that train over there. The man is a walking disaster of casual racism. I can't believe these are the only comments. My guess is he says stuff like this every single day. He probably says it about the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary when they walk out of the room after glad handing him and saying, thank you very much for your 10 million quid. Why wouldn't he? They're black and Asian. Why wouldn't he say it about them too? As well as Diane Abbott. Why would the Tory party want to keep his money?
Well, look, first thing, you're absolutely right. It was racist, no doubt about it. It's been a course of frustration for the last few years that constantly we are shooting ourselves in the foot with our unforced mistakes by just not getting ahead of these kind of stories, by explaining ourselves, apologising where necessary, and just calling things out for what they are. And we should have acted a lot quicker in that regard. I'm glad you used the word casual racism because I don't know Frank Hester. I may well have been the beneficiary of some of his money indirectly through my campaigns, but I don't know him. I understand their reported comments on the nuances on commenting this as reported.
Yeah, no, he hasn't denied the comments.
No, that's true. No, absolutely. So I'm not going to excuse that. I'm just sort of adding context for that. Should we give the money back? I'm not sure we should actually. The only reason I say that is that because at the moment, when you have these stories that continue, there's always a race to the bottom. It's always the next thing. It's always the next thing. This is something that was said 5 years ago. I understand. And why has it come out now? There's always a political imperative why it's come out now. And it seems to be ahead of the general election. So what's going to happen tomorrow, to the next day, etc. Labour Party went in a sort of bit of a doom spiral about anti-Semitism and these kind of things. And I think that there always seems to be a bit tit for tat. We should be doing due diligence at the beginning to try and avoid these.
Check that people giving you money aren't racist. You probably don't know. It's very, someone's making these comments. They're not going to volunteer. These are my views. Once you know those views, though, I don't even think it's a question of should the party give the money back? Why would you want to have his money?
Well, look, I just, there are people with all manner of views, and as I say, this is very distasteful. It was racist. It's that casual racist thing. I think it seems like that sort of boorish pub behaviour, if you like. And I don't, I don't think they quiz any number of donors on either side.
If an MP said that, he'd be suspended. You know that, and quite rightly.
I don't know, absolutely.
If a member of Downing Street staff said that at a press conference, he'd be. Well, I don't know what's different. You'd be out of job. Why? If his role in the party is he's a donor, why would you want him as a donor?
Well, I don't know. Look, I don't know what his role in the party is, and I don't know. I think we've obviously got to be careful about what happens next if he's offering up any other money and stuff like that. I think then there is a question to be asked about whether we should take it. I think if we're just going back 5 years,
I don't even think there's seriously, with all due respect, Paul, there shouldn't even be a question about whether you take that money or not. There really, really shouldn't be. The answer is no. The problem is what you do with the money he's already given. No, I'm going to be on because I just want to ask you about...
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Post Office. You were one of the many former postal affairs ministers. The government is finally pressing ahead with this landmark legislation. It's the first time ever to actually basically quash the wrongful convictions of hundreds of sub-postmasters caught up in the Post Office Horizon scandal. They're bringing forward that legislation. They think we can actually, get all the compensation and everything done by the end of the year. Is that soon enough?
Yeah, because it's really tricky. It really is trampling over the independence of the judiciary. But I'm glad to say that the conversations that the Postal Affairs Minister now, Kevin Hollinrake, and the Justice Secretary, Alex Chalk, and the judiciary themselves has really they understand this is a very major miscarriage of justice. It's an extraordinary situation, and so now we've got to make that work. And let's get the legislation through quickly. It's being introduced today. It can be done quickly because I think there's nobody going to object in Parliament, even if they do find it difficult about the independence of the judiciary. And then we can start the compensation scheme for them. You rightly said earlier how long this is taking for all of the other people in the system. Hopefully most of those can get done by August. These people, because we've got to exonerate them first, might take a little bit, well, will take a little bit longer.
OK, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Conservative MP for now, former Postal Affairs Minister Paul Scully. Still with me is Benedict Spence. I just want to come back to you really briefly on the Tory donor. You were saying there's no reason why they should give that money back. They're going to use it in campaign. They think they'll be better as a government than Labour Party. But, you know, I still find it extraordinary that is even a debate within government right now.
I think if you believe that your ideology is what's best for the country and best for ethnic minorities, you're morally obligated to keep that money and keep yourself in office. That's ultimately how I think. It doesn't matter where the money comes from in this.